want, communicate you must. I really like the way Yoda speaks, so I want to make sure we do that. The beautiful thing about this is this. I don't feel like I'm talking to strangers because I went around to each one of you and introduced myself. So, and who has heard me speak before? Great. Okay, I promise to deliver. You guys have given me the next 3 hours of your life. And really? No, and I promise to deliver. The thing about this is this talk has taken me 49 years to develop. Every talk I've done takes me 49 years to develop. Any guess on how old I am? Yes, I'm 49 years old. And I always look back at times when I was a younger guy, and it was a neat thing because I had a speech impediment so bad that my brothers, older brothers, okay, this is not my word, they considered me a retard, okay? That was their word, not my words, not a politically correct word by any stretch of imagination. They weren't politically correct, and they still aren't politically correct. So I guess God has given me the gift to, or at least I believe I have the gift to be able to get up in front and talk to people. I was talking to Gina earlier before. I said, you know, Tiger Woods says that before, if he ever gets up to the first tee and he's not nervous, then he knows it's time to quit. You have to have that nervous. That nervous energy feeds us. That's what gets us up in the day, makes us a productive member of society. So my purpose in life, and this is how I look at the world, I did some deep work on my purpose. And I really highly encourage you guys to do it. And I would love to help you do it. My purpose in life is to enlighten human beings. So when you guys see me out and about, I want you to know that that is my purpose. No, I'm never, ever not living up to that purpose. Call me out on it. So enlighten human beings. I look through the world in that lens. So how do I do that? Maybe I help someone out that needs some financial help. Or I compliment a woman that needs to be complimented, or a man that needs to be complimented. I make sure I don't cut off anyone while I'm driving, especially around Mount Airy, because they know my cars. So I make sure that I live live to my purpose as much as possible. Do I fall short of it? Yes. But I do as best I possibly can, get right back on track. It's what gets me out of bed every day, day in, day out. My purpose is to enlighten human beings. I live it, I breathe it, I embody it. The outline of the talk, we're going to be talking about, basically there's going to be 4 parts to it. We're going to talk about rapport, okay? We're going to talk about influence, and we'll get into that pretty well in depth there. There's going to be a lot of studies that are going to be in this, a lot of data. Just take the data as you want. Some people will love the data. Some people will be like, it's too many numbers for me. Dennis is going to like the data, so he likes numbers. We're going to talk about body language. And then we're going to finish up with what I like to finish up all my talks with, who you be in your skin, okay? So here we go. The first thing is that this should work for me. There it goes, good. All right, so in today's political climate, you really, the job here as best we possibly can is we want to seek first to understand and then be understood. And when you're talking to people, and we have these conversations often, I seem to be best when if I have a disagreement with someone, I will work more from the point of I. So I, as opposed to you. When you start to get into that you, what happens is you're putting accusatory terms towards them. So when you get to those situations, and you have these conflicts. So we're going to have conflicts in our life. I can't guarantee it's not going to happen. And we grow from every conflict. So the neat thing is with that, your point of view needs to be I when you're getting into a conflict. Okay, it's going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen very often. And as you go through life and you realize that when you get into a level where you're vibrating at a different level, those people that want conflict with you will automatically repel to you. Now, if that sounds a little wacky to you guys, you might want to leave now. But that's where I stand. That's where I stand from a neurological standpoint. So, a lot of times I'll say something. Someone will say something to me, and I'll know it's incorrect. And I find the most gentle way to say this, and this is a great word to use, great sentence to use, is say, I may be mistaken, but I always thought that, right? So, for instance. A very, very common thing. So most cars have 4 wheels, right? And someone could argue, say, cars only have 2 wheels. I may be mistaken, however, I thought that cars have 4 wheels. So I think it's a great way to do it. it's a great way to ease the surface and get to the level, because what we're looking for is we're looking to develop from here to rapport. Why is there an elephant up there? So who has heard the analogy of or the parable of the 6 blind men and the elephant? Who's heard it? Good. It's a great parable, and I go back to it all the time. So 6 blind men are put in a room with an elephant, and they are told to describe the elephant. The first one goes and feels the leg and says, man, an elephant is like a tree. The other one goes and feels its snout and says, man, the elephant is like a hose. The other one goes and feels the tail and says, an elephant's like a rope. And the other 3 go through. They're all correct. They're just looking at things differently. In today's political climate, we really had to look at it like that, right? You got to realize that your view is not the only view. The 6 blind men and the elephant. And there's often times I'll leave a conversation, I'll say, man, they're looking at the elephant differently. Sometimes they're looking at the rear end of the elephant, but that's part of how it goes too. All right. So rapport. In order for you to be effective in your communication, you have to have rapport. How do you have rapport? A couple simple ways. Eye contact. Touch is always a great thing. Non-invasive touch, just touch. I'm a chiropractor, I touch everything. Good. Call later on, make sure you pay for that, all right? So touch is one of those things. The other thing is mirror imaging. So if you see someone, but don't mirror image, and don't use any of these techniques, and I'll go through this a whole bunch of times, to be manipulative. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Do these things that will benefit society as a whole. So mirror imaging. So if someone is standing there like this, maybe you mirror image that. People like to be with people that are like them, right? So create a conversation. Smile, right? Who doesn't smile? It's unfortunate. The interesting thing is they did a study where they took people and they forced them to smile like that and made them watch a cartoon, and they found that the cartoon was funnier versus the people that didn't smile. So smile is a big thing. Always smile. Always smile. It increases your face value. So there's a little pun right in there. Easy. You guys see that slid that right in there. Now, you will have times when you're talking to someone and you can't develop that rapport. It happens. You've always had that sort of thing? This is the go-to. You ready for the go-to? Where did you grow up? And then you link into something like, oh, I grew up in Nebraska. Oh, really? Did you like the Cornhuskers? Or do you, man, it must be corn all over the place, that sort of thing. Where did you grow up? It's always a great one. If that doesn't work for you, that is a person that you do not lead in your life. All right, so the 6 principles of persuasion. Now, these must be ethical and they must be win-win. So who has a business that people either have to purchase a product from or purchase a service from? Who has something here? Okay. All right. So I'm going to say a word, and I think it sounds bad to a lot of people, and I don't think it should. Is sales. Okay. There is a part of things we have to sell what we believe, and I believe in my heart of hearts that I have a fiduciary responsibility. I have a responsibility to the world to let people know what I can offer them, because in my world, if I don't tell them what I can offer them, they're taking a medication or having a surgery they shouldn't have. So that goes along again with my purpose, enlightening human beings. So I want to make sure that I have my responsibility as best I possibly can to move them in the direction I think they should be. Now, I would never recommend any of my services or products if I don't think I can help the patient. And you shouldn't do it either. It's a violation of universal laws, and it will be a very short-lived business. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And interestingly enough, every single day, whether you have a business or you work with another company or whatever the case is, sales happens every single day. Whether it's you're convincing your children to do something for you or coaxing your spouse to go the way you want them to go with these things, it happens every single day. So make sure we're ethical with it. You have a responsibility. You need to create that win-win as best as you possibly can with that. If it's not going to be a win-win, do not do it. Uh-oh. Do you know what? I think I can probably fix this. Can I borrow a sheet of paper there? Can I borrow? Yeah, probably that. Good. And can I borrow that pen real quick? Good, thanks. Sorry, guys. I want to search something on the net real quick. He's got my phone. Good, thank you. Okay, good, thank you. The law of consistency. There it is. You just saw the law of consistency in action. Okay? Nothing's wrong with my slideshow. Okay? The law of consistency. Small steps take you to larger things. You are a kind woman. You just met me just recently, right? I went from asking her for a piece of paper. Oh, sure. Asking her for her pen. Sure. To asking her to use her phone. Right? $800 phone, and you're letting me use it, right? So small and steady steps, small commitments lead to larger commitments. People like to be consistent in their actions. You felt as if, you know what, I already lent them the paper. No big deal to go to the pen, then go to the phone, right? The law of consistency, slow and steady steps. So all this research is based on Dr. Robert Cialdini's studies out of the University of Arizona. Great book on it. He's brilliant. I'm going to summarize a lot of these things when we're going to talk about the 6 laws of influence. The first one's consistency. Small, steady steps lead to bigger things. If you want to move people in your direction, as I did with you, we take small steps and move them into larger steps. What they did there was a study that was really neat. It was they went around to this neighborhood and said, would you be okay if we put a postcard in your front window that says, please drive safely? And most people would say, yeah, sure, no problem. That's not a big deal. So then they put that up there, come back in a week, and they said, would you mind if we erect a sign in your front yard that's about 8 by 12 that says, please drive safely? And guess what? The majority all follow through because people act in consistent methods. It's totally the case. And you saw it with that. That had you guys going? That was pretty good acting. What do you think? That's not bad. Good deal. What's that? Yeah, absolutely. All right, now watch something happen there. So authority. So 6 ones, number 2 is authority, right? So authority, I am an expert. So you have to be a skill in your craft, whatever it is. The way I use it in my office is this. I say, I've been practicing for 20 years. I've had 8,000 patients. You are a book I've read 1,000 times. I know I can help you. You create that level of authority. The other thing is you could say, we brag about yourself. Our office is great. We have all 5-star reviews. We do as best we possibly can. You want to be the authority in your industry. If you're not the authority in your industry, become the authority of your industry. If you can't become the authority of your industry, maybe the industry is not right for you, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But be the authority of your industry. And brag about yourself when that comes up. I've got this beautiful, beautiful pencil, and this is I'd like to give it to you for being so nice. Appreciate it. So, law of reciprocity. It works in all cultures. It works in all cultures. I give you something, you want to give me something back, right? So have you ever noticed, like, hey, try this, try this, try this, try this. The law of reciprocity. I give you something, you want to give me something back. Because if not, you violate the laws of the universe. So you all have had these situations where, we got invited to so-and-so's party, and what do you do when you have your party? You invite so-and-so. The law of reciprocity. The neat thing they did with this is they used mints. Okay, waiters used mints, and waiters and waitresses used mints. What they did was, okay, here is your bill. I want to pick on someone else over here. How about that? Ellie, here's your bill. Here you go, and here's a mint. Okay, what happens there? What's neat with that? They found that when 1 mint was given, they had a 3% increase in their tip. Go from there, 2 mints given. What's a mint cost? 5 cents. 2 mints given, 14% increase. Now the neat thing is they even put it a little bit more. They did 2 mints. Here's 2 mints, and then the waiter or waitress walk back. Oh, you know what? Why don't I give a mint for each and every one here at the table? 23% increase in the tips just because of that. Isn't that cool? So start thinking about things, how you can do these things in your life, and move people to where you want to move them. Because if your job and you believe that you have the best product and the best service, you have an obligation to make sure you move them into that situation so you can create that win-win. Yeah. It's funny. Before I did this, I'm looking around like, who has their phone on the table? And look, the universe worked out perfectly. You had everything ready for me. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So the whole idea with this is rapport. You have to create those rapports, and people like to do business with people they like, right? And that's the way I look at it too. You have to be a friendly person, and this is where you get the rapport. You go into your similarities as much as possible. You create those, you compliment, but compliment really authentically, really. If not, it's going to come across, and people will see it, and they read right through it. So compliment authentically. If you can't find anything to compliment about them, ask them about their kids, whatever. Kind of develop that rapport, and people like to talk about themselves. One, I do it all the time. And people also like to do business that they like, right? So as best you possibly can, find those levels of similarities and complement them, and then develop that rapport. So scarcity. Interesting thing with this is that I hope everyone got a pen. Did everyone get a pen? Because we have 2 left. Anybody? We have 2 left. So law of scarcity says that people want something when they think it's running out. So you really want to put a limited time offer on everything you do. Human nature, and I'm as guilty as anyone, is lazy. We truly are. We are lazy. We want to relax and chill out and not be bothered with things. We want to relax and not be bothered with things. So therefore, deadlines have to be put in place. And that's where scarcity comes into place. If you don't, they'll never act upon it. You've seen these all the time. Limited supply, available while supplies last, deadline approaching, whatever the case may be, use those things. They're vitally important. This is really cool. This is the consensus. This talks about the most popular option. This is the last of all of Cialdini's influence, the six laws we're talking about. This is the most popular option. This is where everyone does this, right? So the most popular option is this. We find that everyone likes this, and it guides people. Because we have a issue with there's too many things to choose from, we like guidance, and we like to know what is the most popular. Who has Netflix at home? Right? Was it easier to find a movie when there was only a selection of like 5 or 6 movies available on TV as opposed to all the movies that are on there? So what do you do when you look at Netflix? You look at Netflix and say, okay, wow, that's got great ratings. 5 stars, the most popular option. People are going to do that. This is a neat thing. They found that this is Cialdini's work that he did, Dr. Robert Cialdini. He did some work on this. He wanted to see how things worked out. And he said he basically were looking at people that were staying in hotels. Incidentally, who has heard of Dr. Robert Cialdini and the laws of influence? Great, just you, really. Yeah, fantastic stuff, good. Well, now you guys have heard about it, and you're going to have a good way of implementing it as well. I'm glad this is new to you, most of you. So what they did was they took a look at things, and they said they wanted people to reuse their towels when they stayed for 4 days or more in a hotel room. Makes sense. And they tried to take a look and see what happens with that. They found that when they put up a sign that said 75% of the people who stay here, the first one was, to protect the environment, we want you to reuse your towel. 35% of the people actually reused their towel when they looked at the environment as being part of the situation. The other part, they took it another step forward, and they said 75% of the people who stay at this hotel reuse their towels. And that went from a 35% with the environment to a 61%. Pretty crazy. Now, tweak that a little bit. Isn't it neat when you tweak things? So just tweak the wording a little bit. So what they did was they said 75% of the people who stayed in this hotel room that you're staying in right now reused their towels. 68% of those people reused their towels. So to give you numbers, give you a short recap of that. Look at the environment. 35% of people would reuse their towels when they stay for a four-night stay. Look at, in this hotel, 61% of those people would reuse those towels. Tweak that word. Hey, you are staying in this room where we find that 75% of these people that stay in this hotel room, in particular that you're in, reuse their towels. So that went to 68%. Brilliant. Little tweaks. Little tweaks. You probably have seen that thing. Every time you look at some of the stuff you put out there, always look at how you can make it more appetizing and appealing to the population. You might have seen that thing where a gal was walked by a gentleman in Italy, and he was blind, and he had a bucket in front of him, and he said, the sign says, "I'm blind, will you please give me money?" So he got some money. So she came back and she changed his sign. It says, "Today is a beautiful day and I cannot see it. Please give me money." And things went up. Just a short tweak. Just a short tweak. Has this been good so far? You guys like this? This is great stuff. And again, win-win. Darlene, are you glad you stayed? I had to convince her to stay. My joke with Darlene is I'll go over and get a great smoothie from her, and I'll say, okay, which I say, am I saying Darlene or Darling? Darlene, she's pretty good. She's got it down there, so good deal. All righty. So let's get into some hormones, okay? We have two lovely teenagers at home, so we know a lot about hormones, which is great. So let's talk about testosterone and cortisol. There's tons of hormones out there, but let's talk about testosterone and cortisol. Now, to preface this, everyone has testosterone in their blood. Men have more testosterone than women. That's just the way that works. It's the way God designed this. And a woman with a higher, like with a strong level of testosterone or level in her body does not make her manly. That's not the issue with that at all. So it's a great thing. But so if you take a look at these two, and this is a very simplified version, you take a look at testosterone. Testosterone is strength, rapid response, high energy, and the ability to deal with stress. Also longevity. The other side from that is you take a look at cortisol. Cortisol is going to be stress, inability to deal with stress, slow response, and low energy. So who wants to live in the testosterone world, or who wants to live in the cortisol world? Testosterone world, right? Okay. This is what we're doing from here. I don't care which one of those poses you do, I want each of you to mimic one of these poses. And I will be judging them to see how great they are. Each of you. Go for it. There's 5 poses, whatever you want. Good. How's that back bro doing? Yep, you'll be there. Good, right there. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. I'm not going to leave you guys like that. But I can leave you there for 2 minutes. And we'll get back to why that's an important number. All righty. Let's get into these poses. I want to see people standing up. I like these two power poses these females are doing. I think it's great. I want to see some Superman poses, and I want to see the Wall Street pose here as well. I want to see both of those. Pretty cool, huh? So who would rather be in that first pose versus this pose? Who would rather be in... Who liked the second poses better than the first poses? Great. Awesome. All right. Who has seen this information? Brilliant, isn't it? Brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. All righty. So this is... I want you guys to see that one more time. This is what happens when you tell Aaron to create a PowerPoint, and he says, hey, wouldn't that be neat? And you can't tell him no. All right, well, look, I guess if you're doing it, go ahead, I guess. I'm not paying you, so go ahead, just do what you want. All right, so this is a neat thing. Dr. Amy Cuddy out of Harvard University. There's a TED Talk on it. She goes into it much more in detail. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Now, up here, high energy poses right here. Down here, low energy poses. We did low energy poses first, and we finished up with high energy poses. I want to make sure that you guys finish up with the high energy poses. Now, what she did was she did saliva tests where people would spit into a vial and they would measure the cortisol and testosterone levels in each individual. What she did was she said, okay, what we want you to do is we want you to hold these high energy poses, the top level, for 2 minutes, 120 seconds. 2 minutes, all we want, just 2 minutes. She found that when she did that, there was a 20% increase in testosterone and a decrease of 25% of cortisol, which is exactly where you want to be. Isn't that brilliant? Move from there, she goes into things and she sees that puts you into low energy pose for, again, 2 minutes. That's all we're looking for is 2 minutes. We see a testosterone decrease of 10% and an increase of cortisol of 15%. Unbelievable. 2 minutes before you go into that meeting or before you have those situations. How about standing like that? She further looked at some studies and she found that blind athletes, when they win and they know they won the race, they all do this. They've never seen that. They've never seen that, but they mimic that. This is true in the animal kingdom as much as we are animals, right? So it's true throughout all animal kingdom. So the apes that stand erect, higher levels of testosterone, lower levels of cortisol. The interesting thing about this, we're going to do this, we're going to mimic this study to a certain extent with our chiropractic care in our office. It's nice to be in the position I'm in 20 years into practice. I'm going to try some things. And those of you that are patients, you don't realize, but you're going to be subjects to that. But I will have to have you sign some sort of waivers and all this other stuff. And I'm not looking for it to be published. I want to see how it does. Because the neat thing is after you adjust someone, and this is not the push with chiropractic, but the posture changes. And when the posture changes, testosterone levels go up, cortisol levels go down. A sad state of affairs that we're having now is infertility rates with men. Infertility rates with men. Now, let's think about what the average man does now versus what the average man did 30 years ago. The average man is in front of these most days. And if I were to mimic the posture of someone at a computer like this, would you say this is a high energy pose or a low energy pose? Low. So drop in testosterone levels. Crazy thing. Crazy thing. From there, you're looking at He's going to trademark this, aren't you? This is a leap year. And if you guys follow me on Facebook, which I'm not on Facebook right now, I got kicked off because someone hacked me. It's neat. People want to be me. I don't know why they're doing it. So take my debt too. So it's a leap year. We have an extra day. Donate a day to do something different. This talk I've prepared for 49 years. And what I did with this talk is I said, you know what? I'm going to be talking about communication. And I want to take communication away from myself for one day. So I was silent for the whole day, this couple Saturdays ago in February. Silent, totally silent. No one thought I could do it. I love the vote of confidence. But I did it. I did it. And I loved it. And I'm not saying you have to do that, but do something for your personal development. You have an extra day this year. Do something for your personal development. Make yourself a better person. So what I did with that was I was silent for the whole day. I didn't speak at all. I did go to the gym, and I went and ran some errands, but I had a little sheet of paper, hers, and I would write down things, and If I could communicate as best I could with my hand gestures, then I did it. If I couldn't, I would write those things down. My observations are this. When something is taken away from you, you really, really, really appreciate it. And I believe that with the yin and yang of life, you need to know what it's like to not have something in order to appreciate something. I came up with no wealth, and I'm fortunate now. And take my voice away from me for a day, the next day, I really want to use my voice, and I will be very methodical in what I use and what I say. I also was very acute in my hearing. I would look at you and read your body language as we spoke. You spoke, and I was trying to convey my messages to you. I also saw that people really, I think most people thought I might have been deaf. And I was not trying to imitate myself being deaf. That's why I did walk around and say, this is a day of personal development. I'm spending the day in silence, and they understood that. But I would say that 99.99% of the people that I dealt with were so kind and so loving. They were like, oh, well, yeah, what do you need? That sort of thing. So, and it really worked out well. The other thing is that I found that when I would talk to someone and I would try to convey my message to them and they didn't understand it, I saw a lot of people would stand there and look at the ground and try to figure out what I was thinking. And a lot of people would look up to the heavens and try to think what I was thinking. I always look to the heavens. I encourage you to do the same. So it's a leap year. Choose something. Choose something. I really want to hear about it. You need to work harder on yourself than you do in your business. Because if you work harder on yourself, you'll become more. I end all of my talks with this. The B. The B. You guys have heard me talk about the be, do, have. Those of you who heard me speak before. Be, do, have. It's the only way it works, and that's the way life works. Let me explain it to you. Most people want to have $1 million. They want to have a successful relationship. They want to have a beautiful body, whatever the case is. What they're missing is the equation is be plus do equals have. It doesn't work backwards. So who are you being first? You will automatically do those things, therefore you will have. That's so many years ago when Andrew and I started to practice, we found out what other chiropractors were being and how they acted and what their daily routines were, and we mimicked, copied, plagiarized, and did exactly what they did. And guess what? It works. If you want more from society, you need to be more for society. And there's a great quote that says, from Abraham Maslow, it says that all that one can be, one must be. Abraham Maslow is the one with the hierarchy of needs. Look into that. We learned it in high school, but when we look back at things, now it's beautiful to see all that one can be, one must be. You're put on this earth for a reason and for a purpose. You need to figure out that purpose and do everything in your life to give it away. So be plus do equals have. A lot of times somebody will say, people do not buy the message until they buy the messenger. And the other one I like even better than that is that who you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. Have you heard that? So who are you in your skin? Who are you in your skin? And that comes from your thoughts. Work on your thoughts. Work on them. Vitally important. Vitally important. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, and I've digested this. I'm not like a literary guy, but I really enjoy this quote. He says that the ancestor to every action, to every thought, to every action is a thought. Ancestor to every action is a thought. So you have that thought and you create that action. And how many of us beat ourselves up in our head? Is that being the person that we're supposed to be? No. Watch what you say to yourself and watch who you be, because everybody watches and everybody sees it. So I would love to thank you guys. You guys rock. This was awesome. I love it. I get charged up by this. This is like, I'm gonna be on cloud 9 for us today. I love this, love this, love this. And my biggest nervousness today was like, man, I hope there are a lot of people to come today. I hope they are. Do they really want to hear what I have to say? And I really appreciate it. You guys gave your time to me. That's fantastic. What a beautiful blessing. I really, really feel very, very, very fortunate. I'd love to thank my lovely wife, who is my supporter, like beyond belief. You wouldn't believe it. It's a great blessing that I have there. I've already thanked Aaron and his crumply up there. And make sure you guys thank Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe is a local guy, South Carroll graduate, Cavaliers. He went to South Carroll when it was, what was it? It was eight quarters in 8 semesters. I mean,